Hi, this is Olaomi Brigwe, and today I'm going to be talking about parenting, which is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I love everything that has to do with parenting our children to fulfill the destiny that God brought them here on earth to fulfill. I'm speaking from my own experience as a mother. I'm speaking from my extensive experience of working with teenagers, and I'm also speaking from the Word of God. So threefold cord cannot be broken. So whether you already have children or not, this will always prove useful, because one day you will go on to be a parent if that is something that you desire, and you will remember this podcast, or you will go and find it and listen to it again. So what am I talking specifically when it comes to parenting today? The topic of today's podcast is the most common mistake that alienates parents from their teenage children. So I'm going to zoom in and focus primarily on teenagers. Parenting is not hard. Like anything else, it has its challenges because you're dealing with human beings. And so what is this most common mistake that parents make that alienates them from their children, particularly teenage children? And this is quite common amongst the African community. And it is this: parents seek first to be understood than to understand their children. In one sentence, that is it. But I'm going to unpack that and then give you specific things that you can do to begin to make that slight but crucial adjustment in your relationship with your teenager. Did you know that your child's most urgent need, especially as they begin to approach the teenage years, so from age 10, 11, 12, 13 and onwards, is for them to be understood and accepted? Did you know that that is the most urgent need for that child? So when the child is a baby, newborn baby, the child's most urgent need is to be fed, to be changed, to be comfortable, to be not to be too cold or too hot, just to be comfortable. It's all about the body. But as the child grows, the focus shifts in terms of for the child, what the child wants. From the physical body, it shifts from the body to the soul. And they feel like, you just don't understand me. Do you know that this is the single most important thing that a teenager complains about? You don't understand me. You're not listening to me. So I'm going to share with you a few points, right, as to what it means and how you can begin to do these things. Now, the first thing, as I said, is the most common accusation that a teenager will throw at a parent or a teacher or any adult that is in authority over them is, you just don't understand. I cannot count the number of times a teenager has said that to me as a teacher. To understand your teenager does not mean to intellectually comprehend what they are saying. To understand your teenager does not mean to agree with everything they say in order to avoid conflict. That is another no-no. If you do that, you are really making a rod for your back. Now, what does this mean? So what does it mean to understand your teenager? Yeah? To understand your teenager means to see things from their perspective before making any judgments on the situation that they are facing. And as a parent, I guarantee you, this is one of the most difficult things to do, because you always want to impose your own judgment based on where you are standing, based on your own experiences in life, based on the shoes that you are wearing. And you would say something in response to a situation, and your teenager will look at you like you're speaking Greek, like, I don't understand. To you, it makes perfect sense. Which leads me to the point that as a parent of a teenager, the most valuable quality and the skill you must develop is empathy and also active listening. So the quality is empathy and the skill is active listening. So empathy is a quality that you develop. Some personalities are more inclined to be empathetic, but it doesn't give you a right to say, I'm not really that compassionate a person. I'm not really that empathetic as a person. And then you don't do it. And on the other hand, active listening is a skill. The second thing that I want to show you is you cannot train your child effectively until you come to their level. Now, let me give you an example from the Bible. Genesis 3, we read, it says that the serpent came to Eve and basically told Eve, you will not die, eat the fruit, and etc., etc. And the Bible says that the woman, Eve, was convinced. She saw that the tree was beautiful. In fact, before that, she said, of course we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden. It's only the fruit from the middle of the tree of the garden that we are not allowed to eat. Now, she said something that gave us a clue, and the Bible does not include any word for the sake of it. So if the Bible includes that, it means the Bible is trying to teach us something, that there was understanding that was lacking with Eve. So she said, God said, you must not eat it or even touch it. But we were privy to the conversation between God and Adam. God never said, don't touch it. She filled in gaps. There were gaps in her understanding, and she must have filled it in. Like, oh, okay, that means, do you know why that you must not touch it was important? When she touched it, nothing happened. Meaning like, it's true. Nothing happened. I can't eat this thing. But God never said, don't touch it. Because there were gaps in her understanding, she filled in those gaps with nonsense. The same way, if you don't train your children effectively through this principle that I'm talking about, they will go away to university or whatever it is, or even to school, secondary school, and they're coming home, you're seeing them every day, but there are gaps in their knowledge. And those gaps, because the child is curious, it's God that gave them that curiosity. You can't take it away. Because they're curious, they will fill those gaps with nonsense. Satan will even help them fill the gaps with nonsense. And did you forget that we're living in the technological age? Now, let me show you something. Like I said, you must help them see at the level that they are at. When you seek first to understand, it makes seeking to be understood effortless. Because you are then now speaking from where they are standing. So how can you cultivate a relationship with your child based on mutual understanding and respect? The first one is learn their love language. I cannot emphasize this enough. There are 5 love languages. There's words of affirmation, there's physical touch, there's quality time, there's gifts, and there's acts of service. You find out what their love language is and you intentionally give them their love language. So my son, his love language is physical touch. My son is a hugger. He will hug you when he wakes up in the morning. He will hug you when he's going to school. He will hug you when he comes back from school. If you go out and you come back, he will hug you. Because me, personally, hey, God help me, I'm not a physical, I say, people will stop touching me. So I intentionally, when I hug him. All right, because it is love language. So learn their love language, give them their love language regularly. And you will notice, especially if there's currently conflict between the two of you, that tone will begin to change. They will feel seen, they will feel heard. The second one is be vulnerable. And this one relates to so many African parents. African parents, all of us carried first. If you're trying to get your child to study, one of the things that you can actually use to connect with the child is to go where they are. Go back to your own teenagers and say, let me tell you something. Like do you know that my mother used to chase me around to read my books or whatever it is? You say it and you say, now I see why it's important for me to do that. And oh really? Their face will light up like, you too, mom. Say, yeah, I'm not perfect. Be vulnerable. If you don't have the experience, borrow from other people's experiences. And number 3, links to the second one, remove all forms of judgment. Don't be the accuser. That is Satan. That's Satan's job. Always raising a voice of accusation against your children. You are meant to be on their side. You're meant to be on their side. So respond first of all with mercy. Embrace empathy and acceptance. And acceptance, does that mean you're accepting the fact that the child is not studying? No, but you're accepting them. You're telling them that don't worry, everything is going to be fine. You will come out of this, you're going to pass. You say, oh, but why would I tell them that if they're not reading that they're going to pass the exams? Should you not be presenting the end to the child? Does God not do that for you? Does God not show you a picture of the end, of where he's taking you while you are still messing up? Does he not do that for you? Why do you think God does that? He's calling you higher. So what makes you think that, oh, if I go and tell him and encourage him now, he will just, no, that is what will draw him and pull him higher. So affirm your child. You are a child that is beloved of God. These are words I use though. You are bigger than that. God is inside you. Do you see? That's who you are. This behavior is not befitting. It's not the kind of person you are. So two different things. Discipline, but also use the right hand to embrace and to affirm that child. So I hope that helped you. If you're listening to me and say, I don't even know where to start. What do I do? The relationship is not the best. I don't know where to start. Well, come into Soul. If you're already in Soul, we're very big on parenting. Parenting is one of the 7 areas of life that we focus on and we intentionally help you grow and develop in based on biblical principles. So we have courses, all right, declarations in the parenting side of Soul, things on like love languages, how to identify and effectively communicate your child's love language regularly, things like how to actually put discipline in place for your child and to raise well-disciplined, well-behaved children, how to literally do it the way that is effective, something called executive skills. I say it all the time that a child that is misbehaving is not because the child is bad, it is simply because the child lacks certain executive skills. So we walk you through how to identify what your child's executive skills are that they are lacking, and also how to help them build and develop those executive skills in a way that is literally laid out step by step. And that's not the only thing we have. We have raising children that are spiritually sound, that love God, that have a heart for God, want to serve God. That's just 3 of some of the courses and execution guides that we have in Soul. In addition, so those are like the practical aspects of it, the spiritual side, confessions, declarations, prayers dedicated to children. Do you see what I mean? So honestly, if you're like, I don't know where to start, I need help, get into Soul. We're here to help you. That's me done. I'll be back with another episode. See you there.